Hey, it's Molly. Welcome back to my channel as we're going to take a look at the Sagittarius Full Moon happening on June 14th, 2022. That's at 7:51 a.m. Eastern Time, so please adjust for your location on the planet. This Sagittarius super full moon is happening at 23 degrees of Sag in your natal astrology chart. This is where you want to identify where you have this degree point and then notice which house the full moon is occurring in. So we have the moon in Sagittarius directly opposing the sun in Gemini. Now, this is the axis of communications, thoughts, what you're processing, what you're saying or not saying, what you're thinking. And essentially, there is an elevation here into the Sagittarian realms. So Gemini being your brain, your mental processing, what you're contemplating, thinking about. This is also your nearby neighborhood, your everyday environment. And then it gets expanded into the Sagittarian energies that want you to go bigger, think broader, get out of your own limiting mindset, and enter into a bigger world of understanding. Sagittarius is where we see things from a higher perspective. We understand that there are multiple energies coexisting at once. And this is through the understanding of various belief systems, philosophies, ideologies. And this is a full moon that opens you up to what you haven't seen or what you've been thinking about that maybe has been holding you back. But this is the full moon that wants you to go into more energies, expand beyond the mind, and consider what else you can connect to that's speaking from your intuition. Sagittarius energy is the adventurer, the explorer, the seeker, and it takes you into your own higher understandings, your own higher mind. So this is traditionally a time when we're opening up to bigger understandings, a bigger, broader viewpoint that the universe wants you to connect with. Now, Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. So Jupiter is the ruler of this strawberry full moon. And here is Jupiter at 5 degrees of Aries, beginning a new adventure, starting something fresh, basically gathering and gaining momentum, motivation, and inspiration to move forward. And so there is an energy here, especially with these 3 planets in Aries, of what you're ready to start and begin, and understanding that if it's going to stick, if it's really going to take off, it does need to be connected to your belief systems. Believing in what is possible, believing in where you can go next, trusting that you're receiving an energetic message for a reason. And then this Aries energy is about taking it forward, moving it and advancing it with that trust in yourself. So there's a lot of dynamic energy here with these 3 planets in Aries and the full moon in Sagittarius, bringing you new sparks of life, a new sense of possibilities and new openings. Now, we have this Mars conjunct Chiron at 15 degrees of Aries. And this is where that Mars in Aries can be very impatient and impulsive. And it would be wise to look at what you're doing or choosing, because that Chiron energy can bring about a mishap, an accident, and oh shoot, I wish I didn't do that. Sort of like you're about to take a bite of something because you're so hungry, and then it turns out it was a giant bite of wasabi. So you want to be very clear in what you're doing, because that Mars will just go for it and just act. But that conjunction to Chiron is asking you to look at what you're choosing, look at where the energy is going, and be mindful of the body. Pay attention to what messages you're receiving energetically, and ensure that you're not rushing it too fast, and that you're honoring this Chiron energy. You're honoring this Chiron energy in the very middle of Aries. It feels like, since Chiron is now in the middle point of Aries, where it first entered Aries in 2018, there's things you've learned. There's things you've understood. You've had to be courageous in a new way, on your own terms, demonstrate independence. And I feel like this Jupiter, again, the ruler of the full moon, that Jupiter in Aries is asking you to start fresh. Remember that you are new. There's new energies emerging here. But just stay mindful of what you have already understood about yourself. You don't want to unconsciously repeat a pattern or unconsciously do something. Again, that Mars being impulsive will just go for it. But you want to remember and check in with yourself and say, but I'm learning to do it differently. I've switched some things up. I've understood more about how my energy works, and just be mindful of what you're going for so that it reflects the new you, the new parts of yourself that are more courageous, more independent, more willing to create a life that fits for you, and to not be repeating anything that you've already moved past or let go of. So it feels like there's an honoring here of your new self, of a rebirth that's either underway or it's already occurred and you're already feeling it. Now, some of the strong energies here in this particular full moon chart deal directly with the sun and the moon. And we've been talking about these themes actually for a number of cycles now, where we've been talking about how this Saturn at 25 degrees Aquarius, now retrograde, has been squaring various planets and points. We've been talking about Saturn making a big square during that Scorpio lunar eclipse. Saturn was previously squaring Mercury in Taurus for a while. We've had a lot of Saturn squares. Well, now Saturn is working with the moon, working with the sun in a supportive energy through the sextile and the trine, and in an air sign that supports the sun. And because the sun moves 1 degree a day, this full moon is revealing some information or insight for you. And it's going to get to 25 degrees of Gemini about 2 days after the full moon and make that exact trine to Saturn. And that's a stabilizing energy where you could be ready to make a decision, a choice, something you need to communicate or say, which is the air signs. It's also about social interactions, things that you're processing, things you're working on, ideas, projects, conversations. Again, there's a strong communication focus here in this chart with that sun in Gemini and the moon in Sagittarius receiving support from Saturn. So what do you need to communicate? What have you been pondering and thinking about? Perhaps the past few months had you tangled up in your head, not clear on what to say or how to say something, what you're thinking about. Of course, there's so many ways this can show up and come through. But I feel like the Saturn influence helps with decision making. Now, Saturn is retrograde. Maybe there's things you need to write out, write out the draft, make a list, a to-do list, a pros and cons list, something that alleviates any heaviness on the mind. But there could be something that's gained clarity and understanding for you. And there could be something you're feeling you're ready to perhaps speak on or discuss or share, a decision to be made. It's gaining traction. It's gaining stability with that Saturn influence. And it's something that now you could see how it could come together and how it can work. So that's the good news here. That's the positive support. Remember too, we've been discussing that Saturn is the 3D, our physical reality. So there could be things that have shifted and changed for you over the past few months. And now during this particular full moon, it's shifting and changing in your 3D reality. There's things that are finally coming through and landing that are revealing to you what those new decisions are, what the next thing is. Because we've been in this strong period of the unknowns and trusting. So then on that note, we move to this Neptune at 25 degrees of Pisces, which is new territory that Neptune and Pisces is entering and opening up. And this is an energy that is now squaring the sun in Gemini and squaring the moon in Sagittarius. So now we're seeing this Neptune influence come in that creates doubt, confusion. Should I say the thing? I don't know if I should say the thing. Should I choose the thing? I don't know if I should choose the thing. So now this Neptune is bringing up the questions, bringing up things that maybe aren't quite sitting well. And you could feel this as your own personal self-doubt. But what I'm feeling around this, it's interesting. Because we've been moving through a big process with these outer planets interacting with the lunar cycle for a while now, I feel like this is your higher self bringing in something that you can trust, even if you're resisting it. Like, where does this go? Am I trusting myself? There can be an expansion of your intuition that maybe is uncomfortable. And this Neptune energy squaring that very logical, detail-oriented sun in Gemini, that's where you could be wondering what to say, almost feeling like I'm grasping for words. How can I articulate this better? How can this come through in a way that I want it to land? How can I be clear in my thoughts? Because that Neptune square removes clarity. That Neptune square could feel like I had the words for this and now they're disappearing. My thoughts are softening, my thoughts are disappearing. But what I feel is that what this Neptune and Pisces is doing is actually providing a download that the mind missed. The sun in Gemini, because it can be so logical and focused on the details and the numbers and rational, we're meant to get out of the rational mind. We're meant to be more fully integrating what our intuition is saying, the messages you're receiving, even when it's confusing. And at the same time, you're not meant to doubt yourself just because it's new. So as new information comes in, as higher awareness comes through, new understandings, a sense of what's possible, the Saturn energy is going to show you the concrete steps. Do this, do this. It's a process. Saturn wants things to be very tangible and clear. And then you could have these really big questions. What the heck am I doing? Where is this going? What's this about? I feel like this is actually part of our unconscious programming where we're trusting what we can't see yet, which is very much the 5D. Neptune brings in the new energies that are different, that aren't quite clear. The energies of, well, I can't see it yet. How do I know it's even real? There could even be a sense of, what do I have faith in? Is that still true for me? Does that still resonate? Is that still a part of my energy? And so confusion with your intuition could be happening during this full moon. And so then there is now a focus on more of these 3D energies that could feel clearer than before. And I find it interesting too that if you look at this through Age of Aquarius, incoming waves of knowledge, individuation, your own cosmic brilliance, and then the Age of Pisces energies that are overlapping at this time, and looking at what's expiring with those Age of Pisces energies, where you have felt powerless, where you have felt disconnected from your own truth or disconnected from what you really are about at a higher energy level. If you felt disconnected from God, Source, Spirit, the universe, I feel like this is an interesting reprogramming away from those Age of Pisces energies, the lower vibes of Age of Pisces, where we were seeking for answers, truth, and God outside of ourselves. And now we have a stabilizing age of Aquarius energy that wants you to look at what you have put into place in your life, what you have learned so far, to really ground that in, cement that in, honor that, because the age of Pisces is connecting us with our individuation and how divine that is, how divine it is to be in these physical bodies, knowing that we're not separate. We're not separate from Spirit, Source, God, the universe. That's the illusion. That's the illusion. So what would you choose? What would you decide, knowing that you're supported in following your own truth right now, following what's resonating with you, while managing any of these doubts or confusions that can dissolve or take away what you're believing in? So this can be beneficial from the sense that, well, I don't want to believe that anymore. So if you have outdated belief systems and things that no longer resonate, this Neptune can take it away. I guess more accurately, this Neptune can transmute it. So during this full moon, there could be some things that arise that ask you to stop, be more conscious, be more intentional. It's shining a light on something around your belief systems, your truth systems, what you're really subscribing to and believing in yourself, and asking you to check in with your spiritual self, your God self, asking you to check in with your higher self. Is that still true? And if it is, let's do something with it in the real world. Let's do something about it in your life so that you can honor these new parts of yourself that are coming through and showing up. Now, we do have over here, Mercury has re-entered Gemini, his home sign, and he is direct, but still in his shadow. And he will be in his shadow until he gets to 4 degrees of Gemini. But this can help with understanding more of what that retrograde, that Mercury retrograde period was for you. And this Mercury in Gemini has choices, which I feel actually can help with understanding, what is best for you now, a higher path that is unknown, or perhaps a comfort zone that you've been through that you're moving away from. But that Mercury in Gemini tends to move faster, has a lot of ideas, but now I feel he's more conscious. It's a more conscious expression. And then we have these 3 energies over here in Taurus. Uranus at 16 degrees, Venus at 19 degrees, approaching a conjunction to the North Node at 20 degrees, all in Taurus. So right before the full moon, Venus was conjunct Uranus. That's very zappy, zingy, electrifying, exciting, a breakthrough, an unexpected development, something happening, hopefully beneficial because it's Venus and she's in her home sign of Taurus. So hopefully something beneficial happened with that exact conjunction to Uranus that freed you, opened you up, liberated you, awakened you, brought in more downloads around your personal truth in terms of your value systems, your worth, your sense of self. And now Venus travels on here to make a connection, direct conjunction to the North Node at 20 degrees of Taurus. And this is something is coming through, showing you the path forward. With the Venus transits, it can be an actual feminine energy who shows up in your life as that archetype, or someone who perhaps embodies a lot of the Taurus energies. But Venus conjunct the North Node is bringing you something to help move you forward that's supportive, harmonious, beneficial, positive. And I feel that's definitely true here during the Sagittarius full moon. And it will happen for a few days after the full moon. So I feel like this full moon is truly opening you up to believing in yourself, where you're at right now, being able to understand what is happening in your 3D reality that can now support you. If you were struggling with things in your 3D reality, your physical world, that felt very intense, that felt like you didn't know what to do. You're at a standstill. That was a big energy signature for the past few months, but there's a reason for that. The universe is very intentional. The universe is very aware that we have this huge playground of energies to work with. So now something is opening up where you could say, oh, that's why there was a delay, or what I perceived as a delay, because there's no delay in the universal timelines. There's only our mental perceptions of these delays, or things that aren't moving, or things that are stuck. But that's also needed for a reason. You were supposed to dig into something. You're supposed to dig into something you're reprogramming, you're relearning, you're understanding. You're seeing in yourself now from a higher vantage point. And then it could be something too that's expanding you spiritually, and maybe at first feels confusing. It's foreign, right? It's like, I don't know what to do with this. It's almost like becoming more intuitive, and you don't know if you can trust it yet. But that level of trust is an ongoing muscle. It's something you strengthen, you work with. And I feel like that's a very strong energy here as we're moving into more of how to trust ourselves and how to work with all of our energy, to not be overly reliant on only the mind or what we're seeing, but to further integrate what it means to be more of a 5D higher consciousness being in this physical reality. So stay aware of what's coming up for you, the downloads you're receiving, what your intuition is saying. Because Neptune is going to remove anything if you're overly reliant on the mind, if you're overthinking. This is going to be, we'll call it an opportunity to see things differently, to expand your mental awareness and look at it from a more energetic perspective. And there's also an opportunity here to understand that we're reconnecting with higher pathways for living our life, because this North Node in Taurus is being strongly activated now into August. I'm going to call it 2 months, because the North Node and Uranus are going to be exactly conjunct at 18 degrees starting in the second half of July. Something is opening up here for you to connect with at a personal level, because this North Node is showing you where you're going, what you're releasing, what you're letting go of, because it's been too heavy, and Taurus wants simplicity. And I just feel like the Taurus areas of your chart are going to be very alive and very dynamic over the next few months into August. Because look at how there's support for the North Node. The South Node is at the opposite point of 20 degrees of Scorpio, but there's nothing there. So we're meant to be focusing on the North Node, and it could be too that the past 2 months or so that were really intense and heavy and dynamic. I mean, there was a lot of collective shadow work being done with the eclipses and with those strong energies. There's a lot we were meant to see, but I feel like people saw it faster. You got into the truth of something. You got to the heart of something faster. You saw yourself. You saw your karma, your patterns, what's ending. And now the universe is saying, congratulations, now you're going here. Now you're going this way. Now you're lightened. Your energy is lighter, and there's something that's been enlightened that can perhaps bring in more ease, harmony, and flow to manifest and create this in the Taurus parts of your chart. So yes, it is very much a Sagittarius full moon with strong influence from Neptune, support finally from Saturn. But I feel like this Taurus energy continues to be important over the next few months. And actually, when we look at this energy as it's moving forward, there is a progression here, because all the planets are in an unfolding story. Okay, so Moon in Sagittarius opens up something that you're ready to expand and believe in. Then we go to the Capricorn energy of what you've been mastering and understanding about your power, what you're doing in the world, your soul purpose, your mission work, perhaps. Then it goes into Saturn in Aquarius, how to make it real, what to do with it, how to ground it in. Then it goes to Pisces, where this Neptune in Pisces is reminding us that we're not traveling alone, but there's things you have to let go of in order for these new starts of Aries to really take off. And then the universe is now showing you that the Taurus energy shows you where the Aries new starts have legs, what's real, what can work, what can happen in a practical way. And so then that Taurus energy gives us the ability to think of things in a new way, to communicate it, to understand what's needed, bring in the pieces, look at the possibilities, open it up, and communicate. So see how the energy starts here in Sag with this full moon, and it carries through this whole second half of the zodiac wheel. So it's a very interesting Sagittarius full moon that could help you see the bigger picture of your life and what you want. So get yourself out of the day-to-day. Get yourself out of this particular week. Look at the best choices for your life. Look at the best choices for what feels right for you, what inspires you, what gets you moving, or having that sense of, I'm only here for a short amount of time. What am I going to do with myself in this lifetime that matters to me, that has meaning, that is joyful, happy, positive, uplifting? Sagittarius wants you to have fun, wants you to enjoy this adventure that you're on. This could actually spark some new journeys, some new travel, some new ways of experiencing the world that maybe you thought weren't going to happen, or maybe you were waiting on. There's some kind of ignition here. There's an ignition with the Sagittarius full moon. And clearly we have Mercury and the sun in Gemini, because I just talked a lot. I talked longer than I usually do. So I hope that this Sagittarius full moon supports you in the revelations about your life that are opening up to you. And I hope that when this Neptune and Pisces energy comes through, you allow it to remove anything that's been holding you back. And a final tip is just don't eat too much wasabi. Okay, thank you for joining me. As always, it's a joy to connect with you. I'll see you back here soon for my next lunar cycle video, as well as my podcasts every Monday and Wednesday. Take good care, and I'll see you soon.